Hey everyone, it's Daniel, and this is day 19 of my 30-day video challenge. I'll just confess I skipped a day. I did not make a video yesterday. I was extremely busy, and then well, this is part of my topic of the video for today, so I'll save my excuses. However, I will still be doing 30 videos. So we'll just extend this challenge by one day, and I will do a total of 30 videos before November is over. But the topic I wanted to talk about today is just called, I guess we'll just call it radical acceptance. I was having a long discussion with a friend earlier, and we kept kind of circling this topic as pretty key towards like inner transformations, like inner work, deep transformation projects, and how important this idea of and the practice of radical acceptance can be just like really powerful to kind of accelerate whatever path, whatever project you're working on. And the reason this came up is we were talking about, well, first we were talking about kind of this intuitive eating, what is it, like a diet or a paradigm? But intuitive eating was all about kind of eating what feels right for your body, and not necessarily, it's just like a different approach to dieting that's less focused on discipline and more focused on listening to your body, listening to what your body needs, with intelligence, not just eating whatever you want, whenever you want, but using your intelligence and your intuition to guide your meal habits. And I was asking my friend who struggled with eating disorders, like what was the thing that really started to make a dent in that? Because there's like a period of years and years where there's like an eating disorder, and then she kind of graduated to having like really regimented diet, and then occasionally she would cave and like eat a bunch of junk food, like binge or something, and then later that kind of evolved into this intuitive eating process. And I kind of underwent a similar experience with my own experimenting with diets. I didn't necessarily have an eating disorder. I think I developed an eating disorder later in my life, like not from childhood, but like I started to become confused. It was almost like too much information. I started to become confused about what kinds of foods I should be eating, and then I had to like rethink the whole thing. So that was like a bit of a challenge, and there was also this perspective shift occurred where I didn't rely so much on like counting calories or eating specific types of food only, like not eating carbs or like just cutting out sugar entirely, to like more of an intuitive eating approach. So how does radical acceptance like fit in to this picture? What is radical acceptance? Radical acceptance is exactly what it sounds like. It's just radically accepting whatever experience that you happen to be having, on from the interior, like emotional perspective, radically accepting exactly how you feel in a given moment. And this doesn't sound like much. Like most people probably think, yeah, most of us are in touch with how we feel. We can recognize how we feel, and we can accept it. But it actually turns out that is not what, like, people who struggle with anxiety, people who are what you say, like neurotic or something. They end up spending a great deal of energy and effort trying to like distract themselves or somehow escape the pull of that negative emotion. This is usually with negative emotions. People like want to push them away. Radical acceptance, on the other hand, which is obviously it's connected to mindfulness, it's connected to meditation, but it's kind of it's worthy of talking about as its own concept. But I think radical acceptance is kind of where a lot of these meditation and mindfulness practices lead. And they're leading you to have a level of equanimity, a level of acceptance with your emotional experience. And kind of like by radically accepting, by really feeling how you feel, even when you're having a panic attack, like even when you're super anxious, super scared, super angry, or having a food craving in our first example, or like feeling the desire to binge. Sometimes you can't help how you're going to react. Sometimes you can't change the reaction immediately. Like your willpower is just not strong enough. But what you can do, you can always accept. You can always be present. You can always be available to the experience that you're having. And this can, over time, change how you react in those situations. So in a weird way, it's kind of like these, I don't want to like over analogize or say that these are the same, but like if anyone knows about quantum physics, there's this double slit experiment thing. And it seems like, as far as we can tell, when someone observes the experiment, it changes the outcome of the experiment. And so that's very strange because in ordinary physics, we just assume that our observation has no effect on the outcome of the process. However, even with like elementary particles, like photons and electrons, like the things that make up the atoms inside of all matter in the universe, behaves differently when someone is observing it. It's like, it's the craziest thing. It doesn't make any sense if you've studied like ordinary physics, like cause and effect. You're like, how does me watching it affect the outcome? And that's what starts to happen with radical acceptance too. So it's like, it's strange, it's counterintuitive, but it's very real. It's like, if you start to not run away from your experience, if you start to like, even when you want to binge, even when you're binging, even if you're breaking your diet and cheating and buying 3 candy bars to scarf them down, you just watch. You stay as present with the experience as you possibly can. And it starts to change. It actually I don't know if it actually changes the event, but it certainly changes on an emotional level how we feel about that event. Okay, so let me give you an example. When I was like doing my dietary experiments, I'm now a vegan. I've been a vegan for probably almost 2 years now, but at least 1.5 years. When I was before I became a vegan, when I was just kind of experimenting with my diet, like I was saying, I was like confused and I didn't know what to do. There were times when I would like it was almost like because I couldn't figure out what to eat, I just wouldn't eat anything. Um, and then, you know, like a whole day would go by, and then I would go to the store to get some food, trying to find something, and there would be like that chocolate bar, right? Like, mmm, I love chocolate. I love Snickers. I love Kit Kats. I love Reese's. It's all delicious. But I was kind of coming out of this phase where I was like disciplining myself. And I was like, well, you know, junk food's bad. You should never eat it. So just like cut it out. But something very interesting happens when you kind of regiment, discipline, punish yourself into not doing something. And that's that there's always an unconscious backlash. So if I denied myself the candy bar because of some ideal, like because of some thought, or like I was trying to discipline myself, I would end up eating something worse later. Like I would drive, you know, I would like drive through a McDonald's and like get a big juicy burger, or, you know, just, yeah, kind of an unconscious, semi-unconscious. I wasn't conscious that the two were connected. But that craving for like some fatty, oily, sugary, high carb food, you know, that's why I was like craving the candy bar. It comes out, like it doesn't go away just because you've disciplined yourself. So if you find yourself like kind of like trying to control your diet or control some other aspect of your life by regimenting and disciplining, you might be missing something. And what you might be missing is this process, the disciplining and the regimenting. If you lighten up on that and devote some of your energy to this radical acceptance idea, just like maybe every once in a while letting yourself have that forbidden food, like go eat the chocolate bar, but just stay, like eat the chocolate bar, but make it into like a mindfulness exercise. Like pay attention to every bite, pay attention to every sensation, get some insight, figure out why was it that I was craving this food. Ask yourself, well, is this craving fully satisfied by this food? And how does it feel afterwards? Like pay attention to what's going on in your body. Of like, okay, I ate the chocolate bar. Now how do I feel? Do I want 2 chocolate bars next time? Do I want none? You know, so just have like a mini meditation as you're kind of falling for that craving, and just see what happens. It will radically change the way that you perceive those cravings, because you're not pushing them away. You know, like the thing about the shadow is like the more you push it down, the darker and deeper and more sinister it becomes. And so in this radical acceptance paradigm, this point of view, we're letting whatever is there be there, but we're just watching it. We're just watching it. We're just paying attention. And then we're just thinking about it. Like, is this what I really wanted? Did this thing actually give me what I wanted, what I needed? Did it work? How do I feel? How do I feel now? So you can try this when you have a food craving. I think this is like the best example, and like I've done this. So when I was experimenting with my diet, I kind of figured this trick out, which was like, I was having a craving, and like I wanted, it was like weeks and weeks and weeks. So it was like a recurring craving. I was like, damn, I just want to go buy like 3 chocolate bars and like devour them. Like I just want to eat a bunch of sugar and chocolate. So one day I did. I was like, you know what? My mom always told me like you shouldn't eat 3 candy bars for lunch, but today I'm gonna do it. I'm just gonna see what happens. What happened was I turned it into like a mini meditation. I ate the chocolate bite by bite, like enjoying every morsel, and paying attention to what was going on in my head, what was going on with my emotions while I was doing this. And like some guilt came up, like shame on you for, you know, indulging in chocolate. But what was the most interesting is like if you do this experiment a couple of times, like the next time I went to the store and I was like, do I want more chocolate? Like, do I want to repeat the experiment? The answer was no. I was like, I did the thing. I went out and ate 3 chocolate bars, and like, I was a little sick. Like later, I didn't feel that good later that day. I was like, ugh, like that was too much sugar. You know, because I was like paying attention to my body, and I was like, yeah, eat 3 chocolate bars. That's a lot of sugar. That's a lot of insulin. That's a lot of, you know, that's a lot of energy to metabolize. So, kind of like by letting myself do it, and then, you know, being very mindful with the experience, staying present, radically accepting that craving, and radically accepting, you know, every element of that experience, things started to change. Like, and so then I started doing this with all of my food. Like every single thing I ate, I tried to do this little mini meditation, and just pay attention of like, am I doing this because I'm craving? Am I doing this because it's wholesome and nutritious? Am I doing this because of advertising? Am I doing this, you know, because it actually makes my body feel good? And just really going into like understanding, radically accepting like every moment, like every activity can be radically accepted. And maybe we should say it's the easiest way. It's not the only way. It's the easiest way to actually make a dent on changing your habits is by fully showing up to what's already there. Like just by, you know, non-judgmentally accepting what state we're in, you know, where we are. I mean, it reminds me of an Alan Watts quote, and he was like, if you want to learn how to love, you have to start with the love that you already have, like that's already there. And that's kind of what we're doing with this radical acceptance. We're like, we're just starting with what's already there. And that, to me, seems like the most solid place to start from. Okay, I'm going to end the video now, and I will see you guys tomorrow for day 20.